How's it going, everybody? My name's Sinister Skater. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going over update 1.07 in Modern Warfare, which brought some good changes and some unwanted changes. Although there's a lot more good changes in this update, to be honest. We got new maps, we got more Claymore changes, sound changes, the first round of weapon balancing in this, including nerfs to the 725 and the M4, a bunch of bug fixes, not to mention challenge bug fixes. They're actually getting to start on that. There's a lot of stuff that was in this update, so I'm gonna have some time codes down below in the description, in the comments, that will show each of the different sections we'll be covering in this video. But first things first, let's go over the best thing I think about this update, which is there are two new maps, and you're going to be seeing gameplay exclusively from those maps throughout this entire video. The first map we have is Shoot House, which is a 6v6 multiplayer map, and then we have Krovnick Farmland, which is a ground war map. And first impressions are these maps, I think a lot of people are going to like them. Shoot House is like your old school Call of Duty map. It's a very small map compared to the other maps that are in Modern Warfare right now. Possibly like a little larger than gunfight size, I would say. People I think are really going to like this. I think this will be the Nuketown or the Dome of Modern Warfare. And then Krovnick Farmland, I'm thoroughly enjoying as well. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like a Battlefield map, to be honest. Like especially the Tavors district, I think, reminds me of a Battlefield map. The thing about that map that I don't like though is that there's a lot of verticality to it and a lot of snipers, which is cool just for being like, you know, a sniper's map. But I think Krovnick Farmland kind of takes that kind of street fighting Call of Duty gameplay, but to a large scale, like what you would think of a ground war map. I get a lot of Blackout vibes from this map. It's really fun from my first couple of games on it. I think a lot of people will like it. I have a lot more to say about these maps, so we'll save that for another video. We have a lot more patch notes to go over. The other big thing is that Hardpoint is now a game mode in Modern Warfare. There is a specific playlist for it, and I believe it is being added to the quick play filter, just like Kill Confirmed was added last week and has remained in that filter. Claymores have received another round of nerfs. Now, if you detonate a Claymore with a bullet while at full health from any distance, that Claymore damage is now non-lethal, meaning it won't kill you, which means you'll no longer be shooting a Claymore from really far away and then somehow mysteriously dying, which is really good to hear. They also reduce the trigger radius, the damage radius, and reduce the damage width for the Claymore, so overall making surviving Claymore encounters more likely. You're still going to die if you're front and center of a Claymore, which is how it should be. EOD, that perk also got a little buff and will now let you survive any explosive damage if the player is at full health. So pair that with that new Claymore buff, you shouldn't be dying as much to explosives in this game anymore. Battle chatter has been changed. They removed the ability for enemies to hear when they've been called out, which means your character will no longer give themselves away. They also stated they adjusted enemy callouts so that they are never from your operator, and enemy callouts now use a more restricted cone at the hip and even more restricted in ADS when calculating whether or not to trigger. Which sounds to me like we won't be getting random callouts where, you know, you're running across the map and be like, contact! And then you're playing Where's Waldo trying to figure out where the enemy that your guy just called out was. I think that means that that's going to be happening a lot less, which is good to hear. The other sound change we have is in regards to footsteps. They've increased occlusion percentage to filter footstep sounds behind geometry and adjusted the footstep volume at a distance. They've also have another large footstep change coming in the next update, which will make crouch and aim down sight movement slightly quieter. As for lighting, they improved player visibility in dark windows and dark areas, which is a much welcome change. That was a huge problem in the beta, but I haven't had much problems with it since launch, but it's good to see that they're making that even easier to see. They also had a slight increase to recoil while mounting, which you guys saw in the intro of this video. I've been a big advocate for mounting in this game. Now, mounting is still really good in this game, don't get me wrong, but you can no longer just point and click and immediately have no recoil while spraying across the map. There is an initial climb when you start firing, you have to fight that initially, but then after a couple shots it does stabilize and it is pretty easy to still spray and pray while mounted. So hope they don't touch that any sooner. If you guys don't know how overpowered mounting is or was, I'll have a link in the cards right now to like a tip video I think I did. It's in the beginning of that video. Super OP, definitely recommend you check it out. A couple other general changes. Sprint and tactical sprint speeds are now back to beta speeds, which I'm kind of upset about because I just spent this last week timing sprint speeds and not playing Modern Warfare to get this army analysis video up, and I'm hoping they didn't change too much. They have a couple patch notes in the weapon balancing section that we'll go over, and I'm hoping those are the only changes they made, but we'll see. You guys will definitely find out when the armor analysis comes out. I was hoping tomorrow, but it might be a couple more days if they change things up drastically. There is a bunch of stability and bug fixes in this update. Some highlights are in headquarters. Players before could place a tech insert down and then respawn while respawns were disabled. That has been fixed. That was unintended. Before, there was a glitch where the bomb defusal progress could be seen by the team that planted that bomb. That bug has now been fixed. They fixed a bug that showed players while firing their weapons on the UAV, even if they had Ghost and the silencer on their weapon. A big bug they fixed was apparently if multiple players had a personal radar active before and they were pinging the same enemy, only one player would see that enemy on their minimap. That has now been fixed. That's actually a really big bug. There was an issue where using a throwing knife and a thermite would not cause the shield to go behind a player's back, giving them frontal cover while using said equipment. They fixed that, and they're also looking into more riot shield tuning in the next couple of updates. And the last one I think is worth mentioning is that a bug has been fixed that caused players to lose their primary weapon after being revived in cyber attack. Last thing before we jump into the weapon balancing is daily challenges and the active missions are currently being heavily tested and fixed. Good to hear. There's more updates to come, but what they pushed in this update is that the Infiltrator challenge has had its tracking fixed. The bomb plants and defuses have had that challenge tracking fixed, which means that mission, I think it's the one for like the AK or something, that no longer will be bugged out. I mentioned that kills after reloading was a very hard challenge to do in my camo video, and they actually increased the time for you to get a kill after reloading, making it easier for people to actually get that challenge done. So finally, we're at weapon balancing. We got our first weapon balance pass, and let's go over the nerfs first. The ARs across the board got a nerf. They increased the hipfire spread and reduced the damage at long ranges for full auto 5.56 rifles. The M4A1 got a specific nerf. They reduced the damage range and gave it a small recoil increase. The 7.25 shotgun got a nerf. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are happy about that. Still probably needs more tuning after this, but we'll have to wait and see. In this patch, they reduced its damage range and increased its aim down sight time and increased its hipfire spread. The MG34, M91, and PKM light machine guns all got nerfs. They all received an increase to its hipfire spread. They all received a damage range reduction, and the MG34 specifically received an increase to its aim down sight time. As for buffs, the submachine guns across the board had an increase to their movement speed, an increase to their aim down sight movement speed, and a small reduction in sprint out time, which should make them feel more like submachine guns and less like assault rifles. The Uzi got a specific buff, being that they increased its damage range. The pistols got a buff across the board as well. They also increased its movement speed. They reduced their sprint out time and increased the damage ranges on all pistols. And lastly, crouch and prone across every single weapon in the game will no longer adjust recoil. Last but not least, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we're already going pretty long, but Special Ops received a lot of bug fixes. It's been a very buggy game mode and has steered people away from playing it, myself included. It looks like they added intel for you to find, giving more lore to the game. And overall, the mode, like I said, should be less buggy. There was a slew of bug fixes, some of them being the scoreboard, displaying the wrong data. That's been fixed. A lot of XP adjustments, a lot of stability patches. I'll have the patch notes scrolling on the screen right now. So if you do really want to see every single different change, you can pause and read them yourself. But that's it for update 1.07, the second major update for Modern Warfare. A lot of stuff in this update, a lot of good stuff, and these multiplayer maps are really fun, so I suggest you check them out and let me know what you think about them down below in the comments. But that'll be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, get subscribed, turn on that bell notification if you want to actually be notified when my videos go live if you do end up subscribing. Check the links down below in the description for 10%, I'm not sorry, not 10% off Control Freaks. This weekend my code is 20% off all Control Freaks on the site. Good weekend, go shop. But I also got a link down there for 10% off cool indie game apparel. Also my Amazon, a social link down there if you want to shop. You got a link and help support my channel that way. But thanks again for watching, guys. My name is Skater, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace out.